snack. Me and you gonna have a little chat about books. Hi guys! So I am here today to do a book review, and the book that I'm going to be reviewing, Futuristic Violence and Fancy Suits by David Wong. Now I was gifted this by Eleanor, and I actually did a buddy read of it with her and Mercedes and Amanda, whose channels I will link all down below. We had a fantastic time reading this, but it's such a weird book. I must say I was not expecting it to be quite as bizarre and wacky as it is. This story follows a young girl who's called Zoe Ash, and she comes from a fairly stereotypical poor background. She lives in a world where there is massively advanced technology, and there is this thing called Blink, and Blink basically is this implant that people can get so that they can film through their eyes, I think, and they have this ability to stream what they're seeing to the multimedia network so people can tune in and watch other people's Blink feeds. Kind of how it works. Hopefully you get that. It's an interesting idea. It's something that I like the idea of, and I think live streaming is something that is becoming ever more present in our world and ever more exciting and has a lot of potential, so I really like the focus of that. Zoe is not really in that loop. She doesn't really fully get it because she's from such a poor background. Even though she has a multi-billionaire father, she is estranged from her father. He ran away when they were young, and so she never really knew him, and she's never really been friends with him. She's never forgiven him for leaving, but she's quite happy in her life with her mum, and they're pretty good friends. So one day her father dies unexpectedly, just out of the blue, and she is wandering around, and she suddenly becomes the topic and the focus of everyone on the Blink network. So she is wandering about, and she is being filmed by everyone, whether she knows it or not, and she doesn't notice that they're all filming her. And at the very start of this, you follow her through the eyes of a killer, an assassin who is trying to assassinate her because her father, or trying to capture her because her father has been killed, and everyone knows that he has billions and billions of money, so someone's going to get it if they can get to her, because she is going to be the only heir that he's left behind. It's an interesting story. It definitely has a lot of interesting, cool ideas. I didn't feel like it did them that well. I feel like it focuses a lot more on action and intensity and excitement than it does on development, and I think it suffered because it didn't focus enough on development. There were some great ideas, there were some funny moments that really did genuinely make me laugh out loud, and when we follow our main character as she goes to her father's house, she does eventually get there. It's got some really crazy technology that happens that is very, very funny. She also has a cat, and her cat just follows her everywhere, because that's what it does for some reason. We also have a lot of assassins in this world. It's like a completely insane world with a ton of criminals and overlords and evil, manipulative, horrible people trying to get her for her money. That's basically the general concept of this story, and the world building just, it wasn't there, and the character development, although we do get slight development, just didn't live up to what I needed it to be for it to really grip me. I did like this, but that's mainly because I listened to the audiobook, and I listened to it all in like 2 days, so I basically just immersed myself in this crazy action-packed intense world for 2 days, really enjoyed it, and then just turned off the audiobook and kind of forgot about it a bit. It's not a hugely memorable story, and it doesn't have a lasting impact, but if you want something that is light and fun and quirky and bizarre and weird, this is your go-to, because it is all of those things, and it is inventive and exciting, and it definitely has exhilarating plot that drives forwards and doesn't feel like it drags at any point, or at least it didn't to me. I would say it's a fun one. It's definitely a crazy one, but I wouldn't say that it was my favourite book ever, and I wouldn't hugely recommend it to loads of people. I am very grateful that Eleanor got it for me and that we did a buddy read, because I think she enjoyed it a little bit more than I did and Mercedes enjoyed it less, so we kind of all fell on the spectrum somewhere, but it was an experience to read, I'll tell you that. It was an experience to read, and it is a weird book, but I think if you like sort of silly jokes and if you like kids' humour, because that's kind of what it is, and toilet humour, that sort of thing, there's a lot of that in here. I don't love it, but I think there was an okay amount. I don't think it was too excessive, although it does get a little bit excessive at times. But yeah, it's kind of like a schoolboy fun story that I would say, if you like that sort of crazy cars and badass guns and assassins and ninjas and that sort of thing. Not saying there are ninjas, but there are basically highly trained people who are basically ninjas, then you'll probably like it. It is weird, it's wacky, it's crazy, but it's a book. It's a weird book, and I enjoyed it. So I ended up giving it a 3.5 out of 5 stars. It's got good potential, and it could have been something amazing. Unfortunately, it never reached that, so it just stayed at the good level, but it is good, and I do think it's a fun one, so love to hear your thoughts if you've read it, or if you read anything else by David Wong, because I've heard he does quite a lot of similar vein stories, so I'd be interested to hear your thoughts if you've read his other stuff. Thank you all for watching, and I will see you all in my next video. Bye!
Thank you for watching my video today. Go pick up a book, then come back and chat with me again.